Hey guys, Ben here from Velflex. Now congratulations on buying your pedestal Fusion. I'm going to take you through some of those things that you should know when getting this, whether it's on its way to you or you're unboxing it right now or you've just had a look at it. Guys, a few things that you need to know to make sure that you get the most out of the machine and you get the longevity of its use and things like that. And I'm going to take you through also some of the setup, sort of menu setup things to get started so that you're running straight away. Guys, real quick, power button is on the top, but before we get there, come around this side here, you'll have a bit of a look. Over on the side here, we've got our power plug. This is where the lead plugs into on the side, then plugs into your wall. Make sure that you're not using extension leads or anything like that. Those sorts of things can cause voltage drop. So we want to try to, if we can, make sure that we're plugging this directly into the wall. If not, make sure that you're using a heavy gauge extension lead and try to keep it as short as possible. Over beside where the lead plugs in, we've also got our little fuse, and it's a quick press release fuse as well. Just make sure that that's pushed in. For any reason it might have popped out while we're shipping. So push it in, cool. Then we can turn the machine on. Now, when we turn the machine on, we should see it all light up as well. You'll have the computer screen on the front. This is the Fusion IQ system. It's currently going through and booting. Now, what you will hear as well is the air regulator inside click in, and you'll hear it sort of turn on. There we go. We can hear now some air. And that's really important to make sure that you have your air plugged into it to make sure it's ready to go. Now, a couple of things around the air and plugging it in, and also your compressor. Having that 50 to 70 litre compressor absolutely is the ideal size. The bigger the tank, the less the compressor turns on, and so the more air, the less it's turning on, that sort of thing, the less noise that there is. Double piston compressors are better than single piston because they can charge the air fast, like in terms of compressing it and pumping it up. So again, it's not running for as long. These are just sort of comfort things from a noise and whatnot. Cool. Now on the back, if we have a look at this regulator right here, we want to be setting it at 80 PSI. And the reason for that is set the regulator into your machine at 80 PSI. When you then have a look at your compressor, make sure that your compressor, when it comes down to 80 PSI, is turning on and then pumping back up to well over 100 to 120 even. 110, 120 PSI, you should hear it kick in. And then the air, it'll use the air up as it goes down. When it hits 80 PSI, you want it to pump back up again. That way you have a minimum 80 PSI in your compressor. And if we set this regulator to not allow any more than 80 PSI into the machine, what we're going to have is a consistent supply of 80 PSI air into your Fusion, your Air Fusion swing away. This is really important for you to have consistency, not just in the pressing pressure, but in the way that this unit swings, because it uses compressed air to swing the head away and also to swing back to you. And I'm going to show you that a little bit later, but it's really important to not have fluctuations in your compressed air into your machine. Guys, on the regulator as well, final little thing, there's a little water trap on the bottom. Okay, what you want to do is you have a look at undoing that every pack down whenever you turn the machine off. Okay. Undo it, open up the actual valve itself, you'll hear it like that. Okay, you'll hear that we've just let some air out of the bottom of the bulb. That's where all the water is trapped, and then it's going to blow out any water out of that bulb. If the bulb fills up with water, because when you're compressing air, you are condensing moisture out of that air. If the bulb fills up, then that water, that excess water is going to flow into your machine. It's going to start rusting those internal components and things like that. And we absolutely do not want that, okay? So every day when we go to turn it off, just open up that valve and it's just turning it anti-clockwise. It's on the very bottom of the bulb. Anti-clockwise, a couple of turns until you can hear the air coming out. You'll get a bit of a squirt of water and then tighten it back up again. Okay, so that's your air. We're all plugged in. We've got 80 PSI. We've got it plugged into the power point. We've turned it on. We've got the lights, camera in action. Okay, this is our Fusion IQ screen. Now, looking at this, guys, what we've got across the top is we've got temperature, pressure, and time. Okay, so to change these sorts of settings, just click on it. Now, you can use your finger, okay, but you've also got this pen tool, locks into the front right here, and it's just easy to click on it. Now, across the top, you've got your green bar, which allows you to jump up and make some big changes really quickly, okay. If you want to make small adjustments, you can use the arrows as well. And guys, a light press absolutely works best. You do not need to be putting too much pressure onto this screen right here. As soon as you've got the temperature that you want to set, press the tick button and that confirms it and locks it in. Same with the pressure. I've got this set in bars. I'll show you how to change it to PSI if you prefer PSI later on. Show you how to do that in the settings. Tick to confirm. And again, also time exactly the same way. I can jump up and do big jumps and changes. When I'm approximately what I want, I can then use these micro up and downs to be able to save that in. There we go. Now guys, have a look here. We see a 1 and a 2. This is for like first press, second press. So some people like to do a pre-press and then an application. So if I was doing a pre-press and I want to do a 5-second pre-press, I'd be changing this to 5. Okay. Tick OK, and then I'd go to my second press and I'd say this is where I want to do a 6-second press or a 7-second press. Cool, tick OK. And now what I've set is I've set a 5-second first press, 7 seconds on the second press. And every time I do an application, a press, and it ticks down on that time, it's going to jump between the first and the second, but it's obviously very quick and easy for you just to select through those. Should you decide to do 2 first presses, okay, something like that. All right, so that's how you quickly change your settings here. And whenever you're changing your time, temp, or pressure here, it's always going to be written as custom. We do have a menu though where you can go in, you can actually do presets. So these are presets from Hotronix, Stahls Hotronix. Let's just say we just click thermofilm. It's going to change the thermofilm temp, okay? It's currently heating to 166 degrees C, so it's telling you that, and it's going to take 10 minutes to do it. It's set the pressure at 2.8 bar and 5 seconds. If I change it to something else, such as glitter flake, okay, heating to 150 degrees. Okay, so it's a different temperature, different pressure, different time for first and second. Okay, 5-second press first, then 10-second press as a second press. Cool. As soon as we change this here, as soon as we change it, it now goes back to custom because we're no longer on that preset. So guys, you can save as many as you like into here. You can go and delete these if you wanted to, save in all of the ones that you want, and you do that simply by pressing plus and going in and creating your own. You can have up to 4 different time pressure settings. Try not to, between your different presses, first and second, don't have a different temperature because it takes too long to heat up and cool down between presses. It's a really inefficient way of pressing. So when we're talking about changes between first and second press or even third press, it's purely around pressure and time. Okay, cool. Going across the menu section right here, we've got our lock function. This is just in case you wanted to stop somebody from going into the settings. We've got users, and the users here, you can have a number of different users. In that way you can track cadence in terms of how many presses a certain person's using, doing, that sort of thing, but also their permission level as to whether they can go into the settings and change those settings, okay? Moving right across the settings now, you need to be a manager and authorized to go into the settings, okay? Here we've got date and time that we can set. We've got display, which we can choose bar or PSI, and this is where we change that setting there. Obviously Celsius, English for us here. And every time we make a change, make sure that we press the OK button, which is that little tick down the bottom. It locks it in. If you don't, it won't save the setting, okay? So if I was to change this back to bar and then just go over to Wi-Fi, when I go back to display, it's not going to have saved it to bar, so it's going to be as PSI. Cool, press OK. Saved in. Auto on and off, okay, this machine can be automatically come on in the morning. Say the staff start at 9 o'clock, you could have this machine come on at 8:30 in the morning on a Monday. We enable that. I want it to turn on at 8:30 in the morning, I want it to turn off at 5:30 when everybody goes home. And you can set that automatically, okay, and you can have it for any particular day just by enabling it, or to turn it off. There you go, we just untick. Again, any changes you make, press the tick button so that it saves it in. Calibration, now this is where we calibrate the temperature, okay? And you do that with a thermocoupling. And thermocouplings, you can buy them from say J-Car or something like that. And it's about checking the actual temperature with that thermocoupling touching it. Okay, if you've got a laser, like an infrared laser gun, a lot of people have those digital temperatures, don't actually use it onto your top plate. It gives you a bit of an inaccurate reading, but what I would suggest you could do is heat press, a bit of fabric, press it and have the gun facing down ready. And as soon as it pops up, you're checking the temperature of the fabric you've just pressed, like the t-shirt or something like that. And if you're getting a relatively similar temperature to what you've set, 150 degrees, and when I check the fabric that I've just pressed and it's at 148 type sort of thing, then I know I'm getting that 150 degrees in the plate and I'm getting that transferring through to my garment. You'll get a little bit of drop in temp between it popping up and moving away. So, and it does drop really quickly. It'll be 146, 142, 138, 135, you know, it drops that quickly if you're checking the gun onto your t-shirt. So if you're getting 148, 147, something like that, around the 150 mark, you know your machine is pretty well calibrated, okay? But if it's 20 degrees out, 15 degrees out, you know that you've got a problem and you can go in and do that calibration process. And there's more around that in other videos and also the manual. In the system, this is where we can choose to turn a power save on, which we can change to 1 hour, 2 hour, 4 hours, 6 hours sort of thing. And that just means if the machine hasn't been used in that period of time, it'll turn the heating elements off and go into a sleep mode. We can give the machine a name. We can also change our swing delay as well. Now, swing delay here is when we do an auto press, as soon as it pops up, it swings away. If I want to put a 4-second delay in there, I say 4 seconds, enter, and I've now got a 4-second delay. It'll pop up, count to 4, and then it'll swing away, okay? Most people would have this swing away and not have any delay on it whatsoever, particularly on a machine like this one here. Wi-Fi, this is where we connect up to the local Wi-Fi network, and that's really good for these two down here because once you're connected to the Wi-Fi, then you can connect to the cloud. And by doing the cloud, you go onto the Hotronix, it's in your booklet manual, but you connect to the Hotronix cloud and it allows you to create a profile which connects your machine to your profile on the cloud, and it records all of your pressing and cadence and things like that. How many times you did presses where it was under temp or under pressure, things like that. So you can look back if you've had problems with transfers and applications previous days, you can actually go and have a look at all the presses that happened on that day and see if any of them were unusual or maybe they were pressed at a low temp, that sort of thing. Cool. When it's connected to the cloud, you can also then do software upgrades, and any upgraded software will come in here and it'll say, here is an update to your software. You can click on it and it'll do the download and install the software update to the actual machine itself. So you don't need to plug it into a computer or do anything like that, but you're still being updated with the latest processing to make sure that this machine runs as efficiently as it possibly can. You can see a little icon down here, we're connected to the Wi-Fi, but I would need to go and create an account on the Hotronix cloud. You get a verification code, you create a machine in your profile, it gives you a verification code, you type it in here, and that connects this machine to your profile so that they're talking to each other. Cool. Final couple of things after settings, we've got this button here which is tack. Okay, it looks like a thumbtack, really simple. When I press down, okay, it's on. As soon as I let go, it comes up, okay? So what you'll notice, the seconds didn't tick down, okay, like they normally would. As soon as I press down and let go, it comes back up again, okay? It's called tacking, and it's so that if you just wanted to quickly tack something on, you could. Normal process would be you have an X through that tack icon. That way now it's operating as a normal press. When I press it in, timer ticks down. You'll hear it start bipping. It's in auto swing mode and now it swings away, okay? So there we go, that swung away. Cool, I set up the next press. I'm gonna use my foot pedal, which is down on the floor, okay? So I press my foot pedal, it swings back to me and here it is, okay? Done. Now this particular press, there we go. It's gone again and I'm gonna swing it back. Now guys, have a look here in terms of this swing action right now. What I'm gonna show you is, and I'll put this in manual mode. See this little icon here? We've got, this is semi-automatic, so it's only gonna swing with the foot pedal or no swing whatsoever. So you can just hear the pneumatic ram then disconnected, okay, or de-energized. There's an X across that. I can swing this by hand, no problems at all, just manually, okay. Click it again, I get that auto mode. Now it's gonna automatically swing when it pops up. Go to the next one, and it's purely only when my foot operates the actual swing itself, okay? So we've got the swing, and then swinging it back again. There we go, just like that, done. Now, in manual mode, there's a couple of things you need to know about this particular machine in itself, okay? There's some videos online, but we've calibrated this machine in our warehouse before we've sent it out so that the swing away to and fro is set up for the 80 PSI. And that's where that 80 PSI on the regulator is really important because we need consistency so that we don't have fluctuating airflow. Here is a buffer brake, as they call it, right? And it runs on a little spring in here, and it's a little cam as well that runs along here. And it's a little brake that actually is used, and you can sort of see it rolls around that right there. What it does is it goes around there and it works like a little bit of a brake, okay? Up the top, if I was to pop these off, there's two little screws, there's a screw there in this side and a screw in this side here. Those screws are for adjusting the swing away and the swing back, okay? And it's the amount of air going, or it's the amount of air being released, allowing that swing almost like a brake. Now guys, in-house we have set these for the 80 PSI and for the machine to be level, okay? And that's really important as well. Setting down your feet as well, making sure that this press is level in place. At the moment, I have it on its wheel so that I can wheel it around. But to set that, you'll see down here, and if we have a quick look, if I turn this, what it does is there's a foot that pops out the bottom, okay? And when that foot screws down, the wheel lifts up and you've got a solid foot on the ground, okay? Very hard to move the press around, then it's locked in place, especially, and nice if it's on a hard surface as opposed to carpet right here in our display room. But certainly make sure that you put all the feet down properly. Make sure that you get the machine nice and level so it's not rocking. And if it's nice and level, you'll have a really nice swing with this top away and back to us. Coming back to us here on our model here, it's a little bit fast, okay? And I would say we would want to go in and adjust it, but it's because we've got it on the carpet and we wheel these around and we haven't set them up in perfect place. But yours, out of the box, we've done that on a concrete floor, nice and level, and we've got that swing working just perfect. So here's the adjustments for the swing, but we suggest don't play with them, don't touch them. And if you feel that you need to, reach out to us first, because there's a real specific process in adjusting these for the swing, as well as the brake and getting that all set up right. And if you change them out from the perfect setting, it can make that swing too violent. It can start moving too quickly. When it starts moving too quickly, it's very high chance that you can break the chains and the cogs that are inside here because it puts too much pressure on them. So if you feel like the press is not working the way that it should, reach out to us, make sure that we know, and we can actually have a bit of a look at it first before you go playing with these settings here. Really hard to recalibrate if they completely get lost in terms of where they're meant to be at. Cool. So guys, that's the swing. They're the settings for those as well, and just really good for you to know. Okay. Final thing, so that's the swing away. I told you semi-automatic and then manual. What you can see here, if I've got it in auto and I was to be pressing, and then I hit the emergency stop button, because that's the last thing to show. This is your emergency stop button. It's not just a stop, it is the emergency stop button. So when I press it, automatically pops the top plate up, but you'll notice my swing also goes into the manual mode so that I can quickly by hand get it out of the way. And that's really important. If I've got this in auto swing, you'll notice it's wanting to push back into its home position, because that's where the ram is going. As soon as I hit that, it goes into manual mode so I can push it out of the way. It's not trying to get back to that home. If I use this stop button, I've got to make sure that I keep changing this back to actual swing. The best way to cancel a press, reheat your top buttons, okay? I might go to the first press so it's a little bit longer. We'll change this to 11 seconds, cool. both buttons at the same time will activate it to go down, and again, hit them both at the same time to bring it up, okay? We're using both fingers on both sides, left and right, and that's a safety feature to make sure that we don't have any fingers under our bottom plate that could be a danger hazard or anything like that. So it's 2 buttons, press at the exact same time. If you want to cancel, just press them again, okay? That's how the best way to stop it. Not be using the emergency stop button as a stop. Use it if you have to though. Pen sits in the front. If you want to turn it off or put it into sleep mode, you can. You can just press this button here and it goes into the sleep mode. This is what it looks like if it does that auto turn off after an hour, okay? Goes into this sort of sunset image, and then what it will tell you is the temperature that the plate is at. So obviously now the hot plate would be turned off, and slowly over the course of the next half an hour, you'll see this temp would actually drop down. If you weren't using it for a good couple of hours, you'd come in and find this sitting at 25, 30 degrees, whatever the room temperature is, it'll cool down to. To get it back up and running again, all we do, we can hit the home button and we're back there. Or if you press your go buttons, your actual activation buttons on the sides here, do a press, it actually activates it back into full activity, and your temp will start heating back up again. Guys, this here is your pedestal fusion. If you have any questions, reach out to us. Very excited. Congratulations on this for yourself. This machine is designed so that you have ease of pressing for hours and hours and hours on end, okay? The way that it works with the swing, that swing is a gentle swing away and a swing back towards yourself. It's designed that when you've got it on auto mode, as it's popping up, it's getting out of the way, so you don't have to use your hand or anything like that, okay? Couple of seconds, you can peel, set up the next shirt, and while you're setting that next shirt up, and you'll get your timing right, you've got your foot pedal to say, activate that to start swinging back towards you, so that as it swings back around, you're ready, and then you can do the next press. Guys, this one here, it runs all day exactly like that. You'll be able to press for hours and hours and hours and not get tired or anything like that from using a manual press, and all you're doing is foot pedal and auto press. Guys, great unit. Congratulations. If you have any questions, reach out to us. Thank you.